The iconic rivalry between the Camaro and the Mustang began in 1967 when Chevrolet introduced the Camaro, challenging Ford's dominance in the pony car market established by the Mustang in 1964. Bunky Knudsen, like Lee Iacocca, recognised the potential of the youth market and held strong convictions about the Mustang. Ford was pursuing the strategy, race on Sunday, sell on Monday. They wanted a car that could win on the track and sell on the showroom floor, and for the Mustang at least, this strategy would ultimately prove highly successful. Ford faced continual challenges with the unreliability of their upstroke 289 engines. The demanding driving style required to harness the power from the tunnel port, coupled with persistent oiling issues, resulted in numerous engine failures during the 1968 SCCA season. Determined to secure victory in the Trans-Am Championship for 1969 and 1970, Ford shifted its focus towards the development of the Boss 302 program. This initiative aimed to directly compete with the likes of the Camaro, Z28 and Cougar AAR, signalling Ford's commitment to dominance on the racetrack. The Mustang Boss 302 started with the engine tailored to meet the homologation standards for the SCCA, with restricted displacement to a maximum of 305 cubic inches or 5 litres, and in order to meet the qualifications for Trans-Am competition, Ford was also required to make available at least 1,000 completed Boss 302 Mustangs for sale to the public. Bill Barr headed the development of the Boss 302 engine program, using a 302 V8 Windsor block as a basis and the high-flow cylinder heads with polyangle wedge-canted valves, originally intended for the 351 V8 Cleveland engine, but made several performance enhancements, which included increasing the size of the intake valves to 2.23 inches, increasing the ports and intake manifold, plus adding a solid lifter camshaft. The compression ratio was 10.5 to 1, and fuel delivery was provided by a single 780 CFM Holley 4-barrel carburettor on an aluminium high-rise intake, which was one of the largest flame carburettors Ford ever put into a production car, and was a significant improvement over the standard 302 Windsor engine. The advertised output of the Boss 302 was identical to the 302 V8 that powered the Chevy Z28, 290 horsepower, but the figure was quickly recognised as being seriously underrated, to say the least. According to the Car and Driver, quarter mile numbers were 14.57 seconds at 97.57 miles per hour, with an acceleration from 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds. The original Boss 302 was so free revving that Ford had to install a rev limiter, aka engine governor assembly, or model D0ZF12450B at the factory, which was designed to hold RPMs below 6,150 revs to keep the owners from over revving the engine and causing damage to the engine and accessories, such as the alternator and water pump. The 1969 and 70 Mercury Cougar Eliminator 302s also used these limiters. Backing up the Boss 302 V8 was either a wide or close ratio top loader 4-speed with high capacity 10.4 inch clutch. Automatics would not be an option for this car. Owners had the choice of several rear axles. Standard was the durable 350 with open differential. Options were the 350 with a limited slip differential, traction lock, the 391 limited slip, or the race appropriate 430 with the Detroit no spin differential. But what really set the Boss 302 apart was its handling. This came from the full front competition suspension package, which included heavy-duty Gabriel shocks, shock tower bracing, and a front anti-roll bar. A quick ratio 16:1 manual steering box was also installed, as were 11.3-inch brake rotors and floating front calipers. Designed by Larry Shinoda, a former GM employee, and based on the 1969 sports room, the Boss 302 Mustang featured distinctive elements such as the elimination of the fake rear quarter panel air scoops and the introduction of the front spoilers and rear deck rings. A non-glare racing black hood, rear deck and tail panel were added, and the 1969 model year also received the reflective C-stripe with Boss 302 logo. The car earned its Boss moniker as a nod to the Ford president Semyon Bunky Knudsen, who brought Shinoda over from Chevrolet. When asked what he was working on, Shinoda would say the Boss's car. The drag pack, a term coined by Ford and starting with the 1969 428 Super Cobra Jet Mustangs. Although not officially offered on the Boss 302, some did find their way into the Boss 302s. The drag pack came with 4:30:1 rear axle ratio option, identifiable by the vertically mounted oil cooler on the driver's side in front of the radiator, which also necessitated moving the horns to the passenger side. Cars equipped with high ratio rear axle gears would run higher RPMs, which means more stress on the engine and the oil. So extra engine oil cooling via a remote-mounted oil cooler would help reduce this. Riding on Goodyear F60 by 15 polyglass rubber on 7-inch rims, standard were argent finish Magnum steel wheels, or optional were chrome Magnum 500 steel wheels. In 1969, only 4 colours were available: bright yellow, Calypso coral, Wimbledon white, Acapulco blue. Other popular options were the matte black rear sports slats and the rear air spoiler. Boss 302 cars were manufactured in Dearborn, Michigan and shipped from the factory with their front spoilers inside the car. This was to protect them from damage during shipping. The spoiler would then be installed at the dealership. Deluxe interior options were also available, including high back bucket seats, trimmed in comfort weave knitted vinyl, simulated teak wood instrument panels, and deluxe 3-spoke rim blow steering wheels, which had the distinctive horn switch built into the inner rim of the steering wheel. But air conditioning would not be an option on this car. For 1970, the Boss 302 remained pretty much unchanged, except for 16 of the 21 regular Mustang colours being readily available, along with many others by special order, including the iconic Grabber series. It was also given new hood and side stripes. The sports slats and rear deck spoiler also remained as options. For 1970, the intake valves were slightly reduced to 2.18 inches. The 1970 Boss 302 again came equipped with a 4-speed close or wide ratio transmission, but now with a Hurst shifter, chrome handle with the word Hurst stamped on both sides and the number 7275 stamped at the end of the handle. An exceptionally rare option available from select dealerships was known as a cross boss. This unique inline carburettor featured a distinctive design, boasting an impressive 850 CFM capacity and tailored for racing specifications. The highly desirable shaker hood scoop option that was made available on Mustangs for 1969 and 1970 only would become an option for 1 year only on the Boss 302 in 1970. To identify this car by its VIN, it should have a letter G in the 5th position, looking left to right. If there is no G, then it's not a Boss 302. In 1971, Ford initially planned to continue the Boss 302 lineage, before ultimately shelving the project in favour of the Boss 351. Nonetheless, a prototype for the 1971 Boss 302 was constructed, blending 1971 design elements with Boss 302 specific features like stripes, badges, flat hood, and powered by a 302 V8 engine. Although resembling the eventual Boss 351, the prototype lacked hood scoops and the rear wing. Total Boss 302 Mustang production was 1,628 units in 1969 and 7,013 in 1970. In 1969, Mercury also unveiled the Cougar Eliminator Boss 302 as a response to Chevrolet's Z28 Camaros and Pontiac's Trans-Am Firebird. This car was also equipped with a high-performance 302 cubic inch V8, which was derived from the Ford Mustang Boss 302. The Boss 302 Mustangs competed fiercely with Camaro Z28s and Cougar AARs on the SCCA Trans-Am circuits in 1969 and 1970, first appearing in 1969 but losing to the Camaros. Later analysis showed that many of these races had been lost either in the pits or due to tyres. However, in 1970, the Boss 302s would triumph, winning the SCCA Trans-Am Championship for Ford. The racing success of the Boss Mustang extended beyond American soil, notably in Australia, where Canadian-born driver Alan Moffat piloted his Coca-Cola sponsored Mustang to numerous victories. Moffat, competing in the Australian Touring Car Championship in 1969 to 1972, recorded an impressive 101 wins from 151 starts. In 2012, Ford revived the Boss 302 nameplate, presenting a modern interpretation of the classic muscle car, equipped with a potent 5-litre V8 engine and a host of performance-orientated upgrades. A limited production Boss 302 Laguna Seca edition further elevated performance and exclusivity. The biggest difference was the slightly stiffer suspension, the rear brace instead of a rear seat, different wheels, 19x9 front and 19x10 rear, the transmission cooler scoop, a front splitter, brake cooler ducts and model specific rear spoiler.